Hello Libra, we're going to do your reading for the month of March. We're going to be looking at themes, what to avoid, what to embrace, what to evaluate. And we're going to start with the theme of the month of March for you. So Spirit, what is the theme of the month of March for Libra? Let's take a look at this. So this month for you, and I'll show you the cards. This one is 10,000 angels. Lean on your circle of supernatural support and also divine discernment. Step back into clarity. So this March for you is going to be a time of seeing things clearly, really seeing things clearly, as a result of life moving in such a way that you find yourself a little bit in a space of, I'm getting that feeling of someone who, like, the feeling that I'm starting, it's like you're, it's like a road trip kind of a feeling. So I'm sort of, it's like when you're in new territory and you know that the navigator, you know, knows where it's going, but you don't. And that's sort of the feeling that I'm having. And so Spirit would have you really trust that where you're being led this month, that you have tons of support in where you're going, and that leaning on that support, you know, there may be a couple of moments of unknown, of uncertainty, where you're going to have to sort of like take that time to sort of lean in to your supernatural support system and ask for clarity and discernment. And so let's find out what that, let's unpack that and pull some tarot to see what all of that is about. But it does seem like this March, there's going to be a call to look at things, see things differently and clearly. And this is really going to be, helped so much by your supernatural support system. Like, you're really going to be guided, held, led. And this is going to really show you a new clarity. There may be some challenges, so let's find out what Spirit wants you to avoid in the month of March. Okay. So what Spirit wants you to avoid in the month of March, you're being called to trust. There is a new direction opening for you, and it's this is a gift from the divine that is going to yield stability in your life. But what Spirit wants you to avoid is missing that. It's like you can't, you're not going to lose it, but there's a sense in which this opportunity that is being presented to you, that is a stable growth potential opportunity. Spirit does not want you to be so stuck in an energy of, this is like, I can't sleep at night. This is like the anxiety attack every day sort of an energy. This, when I feel this, it's like there's just a lot of anxiety here. And so this March, you know, there's a call to avoid staying in this space to the extent that you can. Like, I know there's always like, oh, you're anxious, just calm down. Like, that's not what I'm trying to tell you to do. What I'm hearing Spirit kind of, like, what's coming through and what Spirit is really sort of relaying is, when you find yourself here, the reality is that it's safe for you to trust the new direction. It's safe for you to trust this opportunity. It's clear that it's anxiety producing, but Spirit wants you to know that in those moments, like, to sort of, if you can kind of pull into a space of letting that move through you and not staying stuck there, you know, there's a sense in which Spirit doesn't want you to be repressing your passions. And so in combating the anxiety, there might be a, I'm just being shown someone trying to move themselves out of an anxious position, and the result is almost like taking it to the extreme of like too sedate. And so what Spirit wants you to avoid is extremes, an extreme of anxiety or an extreme of sedation, because there's something that, you know, this is a gift from the divine, of something that is a stable, growth producing. It could be an opportunity, and it could be a person, it could be a new direction. And what to avoid is having a reaction that immobilizes you with fear, either through anxiety or through a level of sedation. And so that's what Spirit would have you avoid in the month of March. What Spirit would have you embrace this month. What's coming towards you this month that's worthy of embracing? Like, what is worth really embracing this month? What does Spirit want Libra to embrace this month? Oh man. Spirit wants you to embrace leaving something behind. So this is a collective read, and it's not going to resonate for everyone, but for those of you that this resonates for, Spirit wants you to step out of the space of Spirit wants you to embrace moving past the broken heart, moving past the disappointments. Spirit wants you to embrace letting go of the unfairness. Spirit wants you to embrace trying to hold on to your emotions and the way that you express them too tight. Spirit wants you to embrace being a little bit looser and a little bit less I'm like getting an image, and I'm trying to just like it's almost, let me just focus for a second. This is only for a few of you, but for some of you, Spirit wants you to embrace any attachment to any kind of a victim mentality of any kind, which that's not everybody at all. That's for some, that's just for some. And the Spirit is beautiful about that. This is not an insult. Like, Spirit is basically really coming clear with, like, yeah, these are valid hurts. These were valid injustices in your life. This was a valid crappy thing, you know, validly bad, worth feeling bad about, worth, you know, really having a level of grief over. But Spirit wants you to embrace letting that go, because it's not going to, you know, the only thing that is going to make embracing letting that go and letting yourself move out of that, the only thing that's going to make that difficult is feeling like you deserve it somehow, and you don't. And that's what Spirit wants to make abundantly clear, is that wherever you're coming from in terms of being hurt badly, Spirit is saying in the month of March, this is a time of moving out of that space and knowing that it's worth the effort. You're worth the effort. You're worthy of, like, being free of this stuff, right? It's not like the broken heart, you know, and the unfairness and the abandonment, and the the emotionally manipulative, like that, all of that stuff that you have been trying to process through and trying to understand and trying to, like, get a hold of within yourself. And this may be going back years even. Spirit says you are so worth the effort of pulling out of that, because it is unresolved, so it's difficult to let go. But Spirit is saying it's going to be easy to embrace letting go of this stuff in March. But the caveat is that Spirit wants you to know that you are so worthy, and that all of this stuff wasn't your fault. Like, well, it's kind of like, don't ingest and make a part of yourself this negative, some of these negative influences that you've had to deal with in the past, that have kind of almost become a part of you, you know, and in a sense of how you view yourself and your self-worth. Spirit wants you to really understand, and again, like, this might be a challenge, you know, because there's a sense in which, like, when there's no resolution, when no one says they're sorry, when someone gets away with something, it's really hard to let go of that hurt. You know, it just is, like, and it's not because you want to stay, you know, in a space of feeling victimized, and it's not because you want to be unhappy and hurt. Like, it's just very hard to let go when there has been such unfairness and no resolution. And Spirit says, like, the resolution, like, Spirit's like, their karma is going to be their karma, but the resolution I want for you is to be free of this, and to embrace being free of this. And to embrace being free of this is to really know that you're worth the effort of letting go of all of this, even though it wasn't fair or okay. Spirit is coming through and saying, like, what's coming, you know, on the other side of this letting go. And again, it, like, Spirit wants me to, for someone, like, it's really important for me to reiterate, this month of March, it's going to be really easy for you to let go of this negative stuff. You just have to, like, allow that moment of, you know, I'm worth getting out of this space. I am worth not feeling this way anymore. There may not be, you know, a resolution about this. There may not be any, you know, like, apology or acknowledgement, but because what's beyond this, and what's beyond letting go of this, is this beautiful healing and freedom. And so that there is going to be an ease on letting go of this, aside from, like, that your self-worth is a part of it, though. Like, there's going to be such an ease in letting go of this stuff that's been kind of plaguing you and really painful, you know, thing that happened. But you kind of have to have this, like, there's this, like, one pivotal moment in the month where you're like, you know what? I'm not letting this have me, like, wake up crying anymore. I'm not going to let this. Let me just move my cat real fast. Sometimes he shows up. Hey, Toby. Toby, can I move you, please? Oh, he's such a good boy. He's such a good little guy. Let's see where we were. We got a sunbeam, sort of. I'm going to get a better setup where it's, like, much easier to see the cards. I want to buy one of these tripods that, like, where you can see right over them, and I will. I'm planning on it. So your self-worth is going to be an area of focus in March, and that's going to be the only challenge in letting go of this stuff, because and you'll get there because you're infinitely worthy. And this may entail, you know, turning to your guides and your supernatural support system to have a sunbeam and a kitty. Toby's like a very spiritual, like, cat. There's no two ways about it. Like, these kittens were pulling cards when they were babies. There's footage. So his presence in a reading is usually it's like an assurance. It's like it's almost like Spirit saying, like, listen, you're so loved, you know, I'm with you. This is, you know, like, your spiritual support team is, like, 100% with you. And to the extent that we do have to move Toby out of the way again, you know, he's really, you know, he's such a spiritual kitty, and you're just going to have such a huge spiritual support system, because that heartbreak and that hurt that's been kind, you know, I'm seeing something that's like calcified and lodged in spaces within you. And this is the month where that stuff gets pushed out and you really come into contact with like a beautiful sense of your self-worth. And there's a little bit of work, you know, but the rest is going to be easy. That's kind of what I'm getting really clear. And it's, it's cool. So in terms of what like Spirit wants you to like let go of, Spirit wants you okay. Spirit wants you to be able to let go of needing things to be a certain way and needing things to arrive at a certain time, defending things that weren't really working for you, because you are entering such a space of inspired, empowered, just gorgeous, beautiful energy. And so what Spirit really wants you to sort of let go of like old structures and like the need for things to happen the way you wanted them to happen. Like expectations can be a kind of prison and they can really block our manifestations. And so Spirit wants you to let go of needing to have things come right in. You know, Spirit needs you to let go of having to see the evidence of a kind of growth or a kind of change like immediately and quickly and all of, you know, and there's a sense in which, you know, don't defend beliefs of nothing, this bad thing is going to happen, or this never happens for me, or I don't like this. Don't defend any of that stuff, or this, or I'm not seeing the changes I want to see, or I'm not seeing the movement I want to see. Don't defend those positions, because Spirit is bringing in an energy of like gorgeous, like inspired, beautiful, sexy, you know, vibrance, alive, like, and it's important for you to sort of like evaluate and think about and let go of, you know, the need for the structure to be upheld in a certain way and for things to work in a certain timetable, and defending that stuff. Spirit wants you to move more into a place of like inspiration, and understand that in that place of inspiration and letting yourself dream and letting yourself like be a little bit more wild, a little bit more childlike, and at the same time fierce, in allowing for that, and sort of like letting, you know, things happen to be a certain way go. Like this is going to be where you're really stepping into that self-worth and knowing yourself as this beautiful, incredible creature, and that is who you are. And so March is such a month of moving through any of the stuck energies, any of the negative stuck energies from the past. Spirit, March is a month of like purging those and letting those go, and stepping into this beautiful place of feeling alive again and feeling vibrant again. And I'm hearing the word talent, feeling connected to your talent. And so that's like, you know, just evaluating the ways in which you've needed things to be. No, Toby, he's trying to jump up here. You know, evaluating, reevaluating, like letting go of like having to have things be a certain way, and happen in a certain way. Like being really hung up on certain outcomes. Like this is a month of being freed from some of that, and then stepping into this place where you're just feeling competent and inspired. And I'm hearing the word talent, reconnecting with your talent. And your spirit guides just want you to know they are with you. They are with you. So Toby's just gonna, you know, he's just gonna keep reminding us that, you know, the supernatural support system isn't going to leave you for a second this March. An area of letting go. And so, like, I'm getting the message over and over and over again. Like, it's almost like, you know, getting drilled into my head. Like, Spirit is really wanting you to let go of the injustices of the past, and have faith and trust that, you know, the justice will be served, but in a way that maybe you don't understand or accept, and that's just fine, because you being free of those feelings of grief and even like this, you know, negative stuff that's like lodged, you being free of that's where the growth is happening in the month of March. You know, being free of that means that you can then, this is where your manifestations will be able to sort of, it's kind of like there needs to be like a crack where the light gets in. And once that crack happens, everything's illuminated. And so to the extent that your intuition is going to be on point, you're going to be so connected to your spiritual support system and to the spiritual, your you know, like your supernatural, your spirituality, your sense of the supernatural. You know, even with Toby showing up 18 times in this reading, again, him playing with cards, and like he does, if you look all the way back in my TikTok, you'll see him pulling cards, like, and the other one pulling cards. They're very spiritual cats. So the fact that he like will not leave this reading really tells me that Spirit wants you to know you are surrounded by supernatural support. Like, it is not going to leave you for a second, and you're absolutely going to feel that. Spirit is like, I'm almost seeing a surgery. I'm seeing like a surgery table, and there's actually things in March that are making you, that aren't, so I'm going to say it, Spirit's bringing it through. There are things in March that like are buried or not dealt with that have been making you a little bit sick. Not like physically. For some of you, maybe physically. But what is coming through to me more is like stuff you might not even be aware of that is kind of like lodged in your system, and these might be false beliefs. There's going to be like a surgical approach to removing that, and I'm not seeing it be like by force or by contrast or anything really, really difficult. It's just that you may feel a little bit lost, and a little bit like some of the stuff is being moved out of your system, because again, there's a clearing taking place for you, because there's positive change for you in the right direction on the horizon. It's on its way. And so in order to bring you into a place of balance and into a place of being receptive, and to a place where change is even feasible, because this is positive change for you, like really, really positive change for you, to bring you to that position. This March is about clearing out, like, you know, having whatever that spiritual surgery is, to sort of take some of that stuff that's lodged and get rid of it. And this is a time where, like, you know, this inner conflict that causes a lot of anxiety, you might even not know the source. And so Spirit's going to be working with you this March to clear this stuff out. And I'm getting like really, really clear message here. You know, Spirit's working with you to clear some of this stuff out, because this is in preparation for a fated change in your life that is going to be for the better. This is in preparation of being in a place of balance. And it's actually that work will make you feel, it will relieve a lot of anxiety. It will relieve a whole lot of anxiety. And so, you know, that is a huge way in which you're going to be growing. This is a month of growth for you. There's no two ways about it. So, and it's growth, and Spirit wants me to remind, growth in preparation for really positive change. It's like, this is the month where this is the stuff that happens because we're getting you ready. Getting you ready for that like real fated destiny change for the better for you. So the action that Spirit wants you to take, sorry that these cards are like impossible to see. I gotta get a better system. So in terms of, I mean, I could show them to you. Actually, I'll hold them up. That's what I should have been doing all along. So in terms of what Spirit wants you to take action on, this is back to, oh man, the sunshine. This is the Seven of Swords. And to me, what this is saying in terms of the action that Spirit wants you to take, Spirit wants you to stop being a prisoner to Spirit, how do you want me to say this? Give me a second. I have to listen. Spirit doesn't want you to be a prisoner to fairness. That's it. Spirit doesn't want you to be a prisoner to fairness. And to the extent that, like, when unfair, terrible things have happened, it has really lodged in your system, the action to take is, you know, Spirit wants you to really, like, be able to, like, again, let some of the unfairness go, and just have the faith and the trust that those that have perpetrated this unfairness in any way, they'll get theirs. There is a higher order of justice, but you having a tether or an attachment to making it right, Spirit's saying, don't let go of that. Let go of that, because it's really blocking your ability to see clearly. You know, it's almost like there's a plane that's trying to find a place to land, and it's causing anxiety. And the reason why it can't find a place to land is because every landing, it's like there's a I'm not going to land until there's a fair landing strip. And Spirit is like trying to say that by allowing, you know, unfairness that has been in your life in the past to have that stronghold, and this is a month of clearing that out, that stronghold has really sort of muddled your ability to see everything clearly. And so Spirit is having you take action on letting that crap go. Like, you know, like, to the extent that there's like a tendency to ruminate about it, or think about it, or be bothered by it, or try to like work it through, lean very heavily on your spirituality and your supernatural support system, because this is how this is a step back into clarity. That's what this says, you know, step back to find clarity. And that's what this reading is really telling me, is that, like, this is a month of like moving through that stuff and like flushing that stuff out, because the action that you're going to take is you're going to really begin to start to see things very clearly, and you're going to see exactly what the influences that the unfairness has had in your life, that has made you make decisions in a certain way that aren't necessarily decisions based on desire, more like decisions based on avoiding a bad situation or avoiding the way something else turned out. Like, Spirit wants you to stop making decisions that way, and to, again, as this stuff is moved out of your system, you're just going to be gaining this incredible clarity, and that clarity is leading to such an upgrade of self and life experience. And that's Spirit's like, that's not far away. It's not far away at all. We just want to work through this March. And so in terms of like goals for this month for you, you know, it's pretty clear the goal, you know, this whole reading has been about the goals, like letting go of something that really got lodged in your system. It was like unresolved. Yeah, this is the whole thing. Like, this keeps, I'll just hold them up. This keeps repeating. Spirit's very clear. The goal is, in order for you to find the kind of balance and stability where you are going to operate out of that best self position, unfairness from people that, you know, are like, Spirit is saying you've been treated really unfairly, and some of it is with family members and people that you trusted, that you felt an incredibly deep, like, soul bond with, and that hurt had you make this, like, decision. And again, this might not even be conscious for some of you. Had you making this decision that colored the way you made all of your decisions, and so that all of your decisions were made more in an effort to avoid being hurt again like that, and not, you know, this is why Spirit wants your manifestation to just come in quickly and with ease. And when your manifestation, when you're saying, I want to never, and this actually came through in another reading, when you say, like, I want to never be poor again, and that's why I have to make a lot of money, that is a different energy than I want to be wealthy. Like, you know, I don't ever want to be poor again is different than I want to be wealthy. And so to the extent that, you know, and that's an example of ways in which we make decisions or decide what we want based on, yeah, this did come through in another reading, based on, when bad things happen, a lot of times the things that we think that we desire are about avoiding the things that we don't want. And so as you flush this stuff out, you're going to be able to see things more clearly, and you're going to have a better sense of what you want. And in that better sense of what you want, you'll start making decisions differently, and that is going to lead to the glow up that you have got coming to you, and lead to being in that position of, like, feeling confident, beautiful, inspired, alive, and vibrant. So that's, like, this March, you're going to push out, you know, there's going to be a little bit of spiritual surgery and, like, removing some of those old thorns and those old hurts that have lodged as a result of unresolved unfairness and hurt, and Spirit even says for some of you, cruelty. And that this way of making decisions based on avoiding those kinds of situations, that's going to change. That's where you're going to see, you know, the goal is to change that. And sorry, I had to take a drink of water. The goal is to change that, and you will. You absolutely will. You're going to begin making decisions from, like, a place of true desire and balance, and then your manifestations are just going to come so quickly. I mean, that's when your manifestations are just going to flow for you. And so let's get some advice from Spirit before we close off. Just advice, very clear advice from Spirit about how Spirit wants you to approach this month, or anything that Spirit wants to advise you about regarding this month. And we've got, oh, this makes a lot of sense to me. Let me pull some words too. These words, these are great cards. They're not technically for divination, but they have been so on point. They're so for divination. So let's just get you some messages. This makes so much sense to me with the advice that Spirit is giving here. All right, so, all right. So, like, this is just a cleansing. I don't know if you, oh gosh, I wish the sun wasn't my enemy right now. I will get a better setup. So, you know, this is that cleansing, you know, clearing, cleansing. This, you know, there's so much that wants to grow in you, and there's so many ways in which you want to expand. And so this is showing me that Spirit is saying, like, allow yourself to, like, feel this through. I mean, this is a clearing out, and so there will be moments of just allowing for your emotions to flow, and, like, knowing that there's a goal involved in letting your emotions flow, you know. It's not just crying for the sake of crying. It's crying for the sake of letting that sadness that's lodged in your system move through and out of your system, so that you're not carrying it anymore and it's not influencing your decisions. And, like, there might be, you know, there is a sense in which, like, allowing yourself to feel this way, it says bravery. I don't know. How can I'd move if I could. This says bravery. You know, there's a sense in which there is a challenge in allowing yourself to feel some of the depths But this is where, that's the moment when you're going to reach out to your spiritual support team, because the stuff that's coming up is coming up for release. And once it's released, you get to be free of it forever, and it no longer influences the way you make decisions. And so there's going to be these points when you're feeling these big emotions where you might want to like pull back in and grab for control and try not to like, you know, let it all out, because it just feels a little scary. But Spirit is like, that's when you turn to your supernatural support system, because Spirit really wants to move this stuff out of your system. It's really, really important, you know. And again, like, to the extent that you've been feeling like, I need to see some results, you know, like Spirit is saying, slow progress is still progress. I'm doing the best I can. Like, this is about you understanding that this month is going to be this month is going to be emotionally laborious. And so as a result, Spirit wants you to not like be hard on yourself if some of like the smaller tasks seem a little bit overwhelming. Because you're doing a ton of emotional work. I mean, you're basically doing, like, again, like, this is like spiritual, emotional, like psychic surgery this month. And it's going to be something that catapults you forward into the life that, like, every one of your spirit guides and ancestors and angels and source wants for you and created for you. And to the extent that this is emotionally laborious, you're going to find yourself like with the stuff coming up, be easy on yourself about the dishes, or getting that return to the place on time, or you know, these little things in life. Like, Spirit's like, just really be generous and comforting and loving with yourself about the day-to-day progress, because there are, like, Spirit would rather you take a half an hour and cry, because Spirit wants you to move this, because again, the crying isn't just crying, it's crying for the purpose of releasing that sadness that was otherwise lodged inside of your system, dictating decisions. So Spirits would rather you spend the afternoon like in that space of grieving than you know, making sure that the house is perfectly clean. And so to be easy on yourself this month of March as you do this emotional work, and understand that you are doing the best that you can, and that the progress that you're making in terms of life goals, you know, might not be as fast as you'd like it to be. It's not going to be that quick turnaround, like where the expectations are like, I want to see results right away. You might not have that this month, because this month is going to set you free, but it's going to be emotionally laborious. And so definitely lean on that supernatural support system, and any support system that you have, you'll have what you need. Spirit's like, everything you need is going to be provided for you. This isn't going to be the easiest month, but it is going to be a month that yields change in your life that is just, it's so worth it. It's so worth it that all of this challenge is really good news. All right, so I hope that message was well received. I'll see you next month.